The 2018 British Truck Racing Association Championship with Truck and Driver.
Hello and a very warm welcome along to the fourth event of the 2018 British Truck Racing Association Championship. We are here at a very sunny Thruxton circuit in Hampshire, and it's been a quick turnaround for the boys and girls, of course, that make up the paddock. They were racing in Germany last weekend at the Nürburgring. Great weekend for both championship leaders, Division 1 Ryan Smith and Luke Garrett in Division 2. How are they going to get on this weekend? Well, let's go down to the paddock to find out. Stuart, very quick turnaround, racing at Nürburgring last week. Tell us about your week, basically, getting back from Germany.
That's right, yeah. Well, we left the paddock in Germany on early hours Monday morning, and then drove back to the Midlands on Monday night, and then back on Tuesday, back up to the northeast, into the workshop, offloaded everything, serviced everything, did a few repairs and a few modifications. I had trouble with my engine in Nürburgring, so I had to rectify that before I came here. So, yeah, it's been a busy week, but hopefully, the rewards will come this weekend.
Jamie Anderson, congratulations on your first win, which took place last weekend at the Nürburgring. How did that feel?
Yeah, good. We didn't feel the pace was great in the Nürburgring, so to come out for a win on the last race was good for us in a general. As a progression, we can't thank, it's the first year, so it's good to be on the podium so many times as we have already this year. First time I've ever been to Thruxton, first time we've seen it was on the qualifying lap. So, we've qualified in P6. Not too happy, but we've got a clutch slip, and it can only get better from here, I suppose.
Congratulations, Jamie, on your first British Truck Racing Championship win. Third in the championship, Ryan Smith still leading, with David Jenkins in second place. Division 2, Luke Garrett had a good weekend in Germany. He leads from Brad Smith and John Powell. On to the racing here at Thruxton. Steve Powell planted his truck on pole position from Luke Garrett. Those two had a good race throughout the opener for the weekend here in the sunshine. Powell taking the win from Garrett, with Craig Reed completing the podium. In Division 1, Ryan Smith once again annexed pole position, and he extended his championship lead with another win. Stuart Oliver taking second position, David Jenkins completing the podium. Second race of the weekend for Division 2, James Aikenhead on pole position in the Sisu. Adam Bint is alongside the former champion. Trevor Martin and John Powell row 2. John Bowler and Brad Smith on the third row. Simon Cole, Craig Reed, Luke Garrett, Steve Powell and Jim Bennett, the returning Jim Bennett. Great to see him here completing the field. We are truck racing here at Thruxton, on board with Brad Smith, looking at the outside line there of the number 6 John Powell. Superb start. Look at the conditions here. The track's ideal, but the heat is going to play absolute havoc with the tyres over the course of this meeting. But it's Binty out front, the former champion. Good to see Adam Bint having a little bit of form. Trevor Martin a little bit slow there on the inside line of the way into the complex. Craig Reed making ground up as well. Reed, remember, a late joiner to the championship, came in the second event, so missed the first 4 races of the year, but already 4th position in the championship. Brad Smith chasing hard, and at the moment in a podium position, closing down. This is through Noble, and Brad the third of the trucks. Number 6 truck of John Powell, the man that he's chasing. Luke Garrett there is making progress as well at the back of the grid. The silver grey machine following the yellow truck of Steve Powell. And of course, this is a reverse grid race. Steve and Luke 1 and 2 in race number 1, starting off the back of the grid as Brad Smith has a look here. He's going to go for the cutback, but there wasn't anywhere to cut back to at the moment. But yes, there is now. Binty drifts out wide, and Brad Smith is going to go through on the inside line. This is the fight for the lead. Craig Reed's gone through, so Craig Reed on the inside line as well. Meanwhile, it's John Powell away in lead position. Craig Reed at the moment in second. Brad Smith to the outside line, just trying to side beside him into the chicane. This is very close racing, barely room for cars to go side by side through the chicane, let alone the trucks. And Brad Smith, I think, has to see that. Binty now passing James Aikenhead, who seems to be slowing down. Then the Loco Team Hard entry, the Beast. Of course, that is Simon Cole, the man from Dartford in Kent. And he's looking pretty handy here. I think he's going to try and look up the inside line. Goes back to the outside. And so this is the Campbell-Cobb-Seagrave complex. Brad Smith now challenging for second place. Very good run here from Brad up the inside line of Craig Reed. So out of Seagrave, coming up now into Noble Corner. Is he going to grab the apex? That means he's got the position. Still out front though is John Powell in truck number 6. John, of course, race winner at Brands Hatch earlier on in the year. And John's had a fairly hefty number of podia over the course of the year as well. Steve Powell looking on the outside line of Trevor Martin. Great to see Trevor back with us as well. His first meeting of the season. We're used to seeing Trevor up into podium positions as well in the race. Brad Smith busy chasing John Powell. Craig Reed is next up. Then it's the Beast having a little bit of a go as well. Yellow Festival coming here with HGV Direct, and it's James Aikenhead back with us. We saw James at Brands Hatch, wasn't with us at Pembrey or indeed the Nürburgring, but back with us this weekend. This the battle for the lead, and through on the inside line goes Brad Smith. Very neat move into the club chicane. Look at the lean on the trucks going through. So it's the DAF leading, the MAN of John Powell relegated to second place. Brad Smith second in the championship, 167 points. Coming into the meeting, now up to 178 by virtue of race number 1. Luke Garrett the leader on 216. John Powell third in 164. So the pass there by Brad Smith on John Powell, significant for second position in the championship. Brad Smith, he won't be able to pass Luke Garrett in the championship with this win. And now battle for second place because Simon Cole all over the back of John Powell, the two men of Kent, out of Seagrave. Watch the Beast trying to get a line, gain some momentum and look through for an inside line, which he gets, going down into Noble. Left-hander at Noble and through into second position, and now we'll try and chase down Brad Smith, who is in the lead. So this is a super drive as ever from the entertaining Simon Cole. Through Village and heading down to Church, there is James Aikenhead, further back than he would want to be in the Sisu. Division 2, a super mix of different manufacturers represented in Division 2 and very close and competitive. Well, having said that, Luke Garrett with a decent lead now in the championship. But so there is Steve Powell, win in race number 1. Steve on his way here to 5th position. Luke Garrett is in front of him, so Luke's managed to get past him. But this is the view that the race leader has. Brad Smith in the 16 truck, the man from Leicester in the DAF CF. He's going to be on home tarmac next time out at Donington Park, home-ish. And he's well to the fore at the moment, back with Steve Powell busy chasing Luke Garrett. Simon Cole has got the fastest lap of the race, the man in second position. That was on lap 4, but this is lap 9. You can see he's closed down on him, so Simon Cole closes down on the race leader. Is he going to have enough oomph to have a go along the straight take that he looks like Brad Smith? And this is Brad Smith's first win. The checkered flag is out, very nearly overlooked that. Brad Smith goes through, takes the win. The Leicestershire man grabs it. Simon Cole second. John Powell is going to take third position. We're looking at John Bowler going across the line as well. Brad Smith from Simon Cole, John Powell, Luke Garrett and Steve Powell next up. Craig Reed, John Bowler, Trevor Martin, James Aikenhead and Adam Bid 10.
Brad Smith, many congratulations. I've presided over your first podium and now your first win, which gives me a great amount of pleasure. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was really hot, yeah. Tyres started to go off towards the end. I went off at Church, but I held it, so yeah, good.
Simon, great to see the Beast back on the podium, second position here. Boy, that looks so hot out there.
Oh, it is hot, and Brad done really well. Great drive from Brad, really improved this year, but I reckon one more lap, and Johnny's teammate helped him out for 2 laps, just holding me back. He knew I was coming, he knew I was quicker, but they done a good job. I was pleased with that, with the problems we've had in Germany, so I'm pleased to come here and get a podium.
John, good podium. I'll tell you what, superb racing out there. We've had 6 different people on the podium in 2 different races, and a good 3rd place for you.
Yeah, there's some. The engines are all pretty much on par. So if you can get out in front, then it's down to handling and bits and bobs. So the weather conditions play into it. But yeah, it's always close racing. It's really enjoyable, actually, to be fair. So.
Race 2 for Division 1. Ricky Collett starts on pole position. Martin Gibson alongside, then Simon Reed and Jamie Anderson. David Jenkins on row 3 with Stuart Oliver, Ryan Smith and Luke Taylor completing the grid, which is let loose on the track here. Look at Jamie Anderson trying to squeeze his way through. There's barely room. He recognises that. Well, he made 1 place up, so it's Rick Collett leading. Jamie Anderson up into 2nd. He desperately wants another win. Well, not desperately, he'd love another win. Side by side now with Rick Collett in the MAN. Jamie Anderson is there as well in his MAN. Outside line there for truck number 11, that's Martin Gibson, having a good first season for Martin, and he's on the outside line as they exit the complex. Rick Collett though out front. Seem to remember Rick Collett winning here a couple of seasons ago, if memory serves well. It was the last. So look at the speed there, 98 miles per hour, so a little bit of a safety margin to the 100 mile an hour limit that the trucks have got, as Dave Jenkins looks down the inside line there of the 11 machine of Martin Gibson. Is he going to be able to find the grip? Gibson sweeping out wide, read that well. Stuart Oliver in the Kelsa 7 immediately behind. Jamie Anderson chasing the race leader though. Rick Collett out front at the moment. We've got Simon Reed in 89, and now here comes Stuart Oliver, looks up the inside line, the man from Hexham in the Volvo. The bonneted truck side by side at the moment with Ryan Smith, who is attacking and looking at the outside line here. Ryan Smith, the championship leader, 205 points, so the first Division 1 driver to break the 200 point barrier this year. Extra points on offer this season. Used to be 10 points for a win, it's now 15. And side by side for the lead, Jamie Anderson goes through, passes Rick Collett to take up P1. Anderson the race leader, Rick Collett on the outside line. It's Craig Reed in 3rd place, side by side for 4th position. Still hanging in there is Martin Gibson at the moment, rubs up across the grass. That'll lose him a little bit of speed. David Jenkins though has to be mindful of Stuart Oliver right behind him. Jenkins comes across, Oliver just tags the back of him and he's losing ground. Oliver's losing ground. He misses out, Luke Taylor goes through. Now Oliver there, probably need to have a look at a replay just to see what happened, but racing incident I think you've got to say, because David Jenkins was making ground on the truck in front, number 11 Martin Gibson, after Gibson hit the grass, and Stuart Oliver just tagged the back of him. But Jamie Anderson up to 98 miles an hour, up to 99, so the software working well in the truck, and he's getting away. Rick Collett still 2nd. Simon Reed in 3rd place. Have to hesitate now because we've got 2 Reeds, one in each of the divisions of course, but Simon Reed, the former Division 2 champion, is in the mix on the outside line. But look who snuck through into 4th position, championship leader, and that is Ryan Smith, the man from Mansfield, goes through side by side. Oh, Simon Reed straight lines the chicane. He'll know that he gained an advantage there, and the Taylor's machine of number 1 Ryan Smith coming through. David Jenkins in the mix as well. This is busy stuff at the moment, a pack of 4 of these absolute monsters all together, and Stuart Oliver has picked up damage. Oliver, from that little tag on Dave Jenkins, is into pit lane. Side by side here, Collett surely is going to lose out to the number 1 of the championship leader Ryan Smith. It's into the chicane. Look how close they're getting as they go into the complex, and Reed on the outside line in the guest truck trying to come through as well, and hanging on to those is Martin Gibson. Martin Gibson really gaining some super experience in truck racing now, and that particular shot showed how he's not far away from the others. But far away in terms of the lead at the moment is Jamie Anderson. Ryan Smith in 2nd. There is the number 11 again, Martin Gibson. Comes from Warwick in the Team Oliver racing truck. That's Michael Oliver's truck from last year. And Michael, of course, who was a podium finisher several times last year, will be helping, I think, and mentoring Martin Gibson. But Jamie Anderson out front. The race now is on between Anderson and Ryan Smith. Ryan Smith coming through from the back of the grid. Remember, the positions from the preceding races are reversed to form the grid for the next race. So Ryan Smith, as the winner, started off the back of the grid, admittedly on row 4. So here we come up into the club chicane. The top 2 trucks, who actually look closer than they were, ahead of Rick Collett and then David Jenkins in 69. Jenkins with 10 podia so far this year, and it looks like he's about to add to that because he finds the inside line of Collett, the driver from Halifax, in his MAN, goes through. Ryan Smith second. Now David Jenkins up to third in black. Collett next up. Then it is Simon Reed. So super staff. Now we've been told that Rick Collett has got a 10-second penalty for a false start. So Collett here battling for track position, but he's going to have a little bit of a time penalty. So he'll be disappointed with that one. Jenkins in third. Collett and company still. And look at Jamie Anderson has been caught now by Ryan Smith. It was a huge gap a couple of laps ago. Now does that indicate a problem for Jamie Anderson? This is his first time racing at Thruxton. Makes a little error, goes wide. Look at the dust, look at the lack of momentum. And Ryan Smith, cheers very much, pal, through on the inside line into the race lead. Ryan Smith looking for a 12th win of the season here. He's on an absolute roll at the moment. Had a DNF in one of the races at the Nürburgring, but still has a championship lead intact with David Jenkins. Ryan on 205 points, Dave Jenkins on 187 in the digraph machine. Jamie Anderson third on 170. I'll tell you what, there's a long way to go to Brands Hatch in November, which will probably be the antidote to the heat wave we're having at the moment. Brands Hatch traditionally very cold and very often very, very wet indeed as well. Jamie Anderson coming under pressure from David Jenkins, who's looking, as I said, for that 11th podium of the year and chasing hard. Anderson, remember, the newcomer. The race leads on to the last lap. This is Anderson's first full season. Did a couple of events with us last year, and that whetted his appetite for this season. He's been a very valuable addition to the championship. Already, as you heard, won the race at the Nürburgring. Dave Jenkins trying to tee him up here. Jenkins having a good run. That was a very impressive shot. And Jenkins, you can see all over the back of him. Anderson locks up. Jenkins looks to the outside line. They come, oh, and Anderson really, I think, struggling with the tyres by the look of it. Yes, he is. He's got a tyre down. He's off on the grass. Anderson, well, Thruxton and tyres is a frequent phrase that you'll hear, and very much always a conversation around the paddock. And Anderson limping home now. Up into the podium position goes Simon Reed. Anderson, if he can keep it going, he'll get some points. And he's doing the sensible thing here, probably churning up a little bit of the grass in doing so, but you can see the speed's gone down. Is he going to be able to nurse it? I think he's probably going to pull up. He'll still be a classified finisher because he'll be running in 7th place in this one. Obviously Stuart Oliver DNF. So David Jenkins now into second. What a sad thing to lose Jamie Anderson. He was running very, very well indeed. Here is the race leader into the club chicane for the last time. Ryan Smith will take a 12th win of the season. He is around about 7 or 8 seconds ahead of this man David Jenkins, but Ryan Smith takes the win, extends the championship lead. David Jenkins second in the standings. Showboats for the crowd there at the chicane. Fair play, David Jenkins. Across the line he goes. Smith from Jenkins, Ryan getting fastest lap as well, then Simon Reed and Martin Gibson from Luke Taylor, Ricky Collett and Jamie Anderson completing the finishes.
Ryan, cracking drive. Reverse grid races are always exciting and great to see some passing. Tough race?
Yeah, you know, you have to be cautious on the start because other competitors want to get the move done early because some ain't got the pace others have got, and I think this weekend's about managing tyres, and then later on in the race I can still do the same lap time as lap 1. I look at other drivers and they're doing 3 seconds off, so you know, it's all about saving the tyres.
David, first of all, congratulations on the podium, but you're obviously busy. What's going on?
Yeah, we've got a power steering box leak here, and the guys are just doing the rest of the servicing items, and because we've got somebody for every job and one floater, so I'm just getting stuck in here now and give the guys a hand, make sure that we've got the right parts, and then can let them get on with it then.
He says podium's a great result, but obviously not that straightforward.
No, it was a great start to the day for us, and it's great to be so brilliantly supported here at Thruxton again. Sunshine, big crowds, good, decent sized grid. So no, we're having a good time, but it's never easy, is it?
Simon, congratulations! First podium of the weekend. How was your race?
It was hectic, but really enjoyed it. Had a few good battles with Ricky Collett. Obviously, unfortunate for Jamie, had a tyre either blow out or something went drastically wrong for him, and obviously we skipped the podium. But no, had a brilliant race, to be honest with you, all being it anyway.
Colour and showmanship is not limited to the track. The Sunshine brought out another impressive display of show trucks for the Thruxton crowd to enjoy between races.
Adam, the defence of your championship maybe not going the way you want. What sort of problems have you had and how are you coping with them?
We've had a lot of technical issues this year with ECUs and wiring and stuff that we couldn't prevent, and it's just the luck of the draw really that we've had issues. We went to Nürburgring last weekend, had a issue with the water system, rectified that in the race 1, went back out, had race 2, and then the components in the ECU blew up, so we couldn't go out on a Sunday, so that was an early weekend for us.
Binty starts on pole position, James Aikenhead alongside. I was referring to his defending champion, of course, Mika Mackinnon, the reigning champion, but not with us. Binty won it the year before, Division 2, and he starts on pole position here and is away. It's a good start. Brad Smith, the previous race-winning driver, having a look to try and move through from the back of this reverse grid field, but it's Adam Bint, the 2016 champion, who leads them around. James Aikenhead second, then Trevor Martin. John Bowler is on the outside line in the Foden, and this is impressive stuff from John, who's teed up the inside for the second part of the complex. Luke Garrett coming through. Onto the grass goes Steve Powell in the yellow number 3. Superb start. Jim Bennett is off the back. In the Seddon Atkinson had some brake issues in the earlier races, but sorting them out. Look at Simon Cole absolutely flying through there. Some great shots of the trucks here. The Sunshine really adding to the show this weekend. Everybody enjoying their ice creams and slapping on plenty of sun cream on the grass banks as they enjoy the racing, and we're watching Brad Smith trying to work his way through in the 16 truck. John Powell, his teammate, in front of him. Craig Reed immediately in front as well. 3 wide again. This is absolutely not for the faint-hearted with these trucks. Through Church, James Aikenhead on the outside line, and that leaves it open for John Bowler to come through on the inside line, chased by Luke Garrett. Garrett in the MAN, Steve Powell in his MAN as well. Goes through on the inside line of James Aikenhead. Are we going to see another pass on James? No, we're not. So into the club chicane they go. And Division 2, I've said it in both of our rounds we've covered so far this year, very, very competitive championship. We've got 11 drivers starting this race as Luke Garrett's looking to try and tee up a pass there. Of the 11 drivers starting this race, 8 of them have been on the podium this year. That's how competitive it is. The other 3 drivers are either at their first meeting of the year or second meeting of the year. So betting themselves in to the campaign, as it were. Binty's still there though. And now watch Luke Garrett putting the pressure on John Bowler, who in turn is of course looking for the lead. Steve Powell 4th, then Simon Cole in 5th place from Craig Reed. They head down towards Noble once again. And Adam Bint has only had the 1 podium so far this year, 3rd position at Brands Hatch, but he's looking pretty handy here, but he's got a lot of very fast trucks behind him. Adam Bint comes from Whitney in the Volvo White Aerodyne CMG Bint Racing entered truck, coming under pressure from John Bowler, but watch Luke Garrett in 3rd place as well. Garrett's going to be hungry to get another win. The championship leader, 228 points at the moment. Brad Smith second on 193 points. John Powell third on 177. And then Craig Reed on 168. Could close the gap here on John Powell. The battle for the lead coming up. Woodham Hill now on the outside line. Goes John Bowler, and that might leave the door open here for Luke Garrett, who's going to go through on the inside line, and possibly Steve Powell as well. Binty coming under pressure here from Luke Garrett, side by side. Garrett's coming up Woodham Hill. The outside line is not the easiest to pass on as you come into the club chicane. It's all about how you can brake as well as the acceleration, and they're side by side. But look at Garrett's done it. He goes around the outside line. He had very good momentum up Woodham Hill into the club chicane. Takes the lead, clean as you like. Luke Garrett, championship leader. Adam Bint in second place. Superb stuff then. Binty will be keen to try and hang on to a podium, but he's still under massive pressure here from John Bowler, who now tries the outside line coming into the complex. Simon Cole in the mix as well, in the beast. Watching brief for him at the moment, coming down in towards Seagrave Corner. Look at Cole on the outside line, exploring as much of the tarmac as he can. Bowler all over the back of Bint, but Cole's got a good run and tees up the inside line coming into Noble. He's going to take second position here. Garrett the leader. Simon Cole emerges in second place. Binty now defending a podium in third. John Bowler's there. Craig Reed is coming up in the mix as well. Reed trying to squeeze his way through on the inside line. This is superb Division 2 racing. So, up Woodham Hill for the last time. On the brakes, look at the lean of the chasing man. Simon Cole there, second position in truck number 41. The Beast is in second. Luke Garrett still in front. Cole's got the fastest lap. That was back on lap 2. Showboats, he knows he's not going to win, but entertains the fans in the stand as Luke Garrett takes a win. Simon Cole second. Adam Bint is third. Craig Reed fourth from John Bowler and John Powell, then Brad Smith, Trevor Martin, James Aikenhead and Steve Powell completing the top 10. Jim Bennett 11th. Third race for Division 1, and Ricky Collett starts on pole position with Luke Taylor alongside Martin Gibson. On row 2 with Simon Reed, David Jenkins and Ryan Smith row 3, Jamie Anderson and Stuart Oliver on row 4. A great result for Martin Gibson in race 2, 4th place, just one away from podium, but that's his best result of the year so far. Here we go, truck racing for Division 1, the big boys out to play once again. Jamie Anderson making a quick start inside of Stuart Oliver, chasing Martin Gibson in the 11, but it's King Klaus, that's the name given to the truck of 79. Luke Taylor has made a very good start indeed. Richard Collett in second. Simon Reed next up. Already up into 4th position is Ryan Smith, who's having a great run of wins here. One would say as Dave Jenkins goes on the inside line of Stuart Oliver, and now nibbling over the back end of Martin Gibson. The GT truck about to be passed, or is it coming into Noble here? Gibson's got the inside line. It's Luke Taylor in 79 that had an indifferent season up to the Nürburgring, had 2 podia at the Nürburgring, so I think getting to grips with the truck, sorting it out now, is Luke the man from Oldham, with Collett still there, and on the inside line of Simon Reed goes the defending champion, Ryan Smith. Remember, Reed beat Smith to the Division 2 title back in 2014. So those two old sparring partners, and Smith, as you can see, has the inside line, now chasing Collett, Ricky Collett for second place. Collett still in touch with Luke Taylor, who is out front, and Reed getting stuck in, looking at the outside line. This is far from over, but watch Smith on the inside line now of Richard Collett as they come into Allard. David Jenkins still in 8th place chasing Stuart Oliver. It's a small field but a very, very select one. I mean, the amount of championships covered, we've said that before, incredible amount of titles in the mix here. And Richard Collett defending well at the moment from Ryan Smith. This is allowing Luke Taylor to just stretch his legs a little bit in King Klaus and begin to get away. This is the view from Jamie Anderson. Simon Reed immediately in front. Anderson being marked out as a future champion without doubt, certainly a contender already. Ryan Smith looks on the inside line, exit Noble, coming down in towards Village Corner. There's not a gap there. We'll see how tight Ryan can make it, and he goes up the inside line. He's got the grip, side by side with Richard Collett, coming into Church. Surely going to have the advantage when they come through. Church, Collett has ceded the place. Here is Luke Taylor, the race leader. And there's confirmation of the new second place man, Ryan Smith. who could be on a roll here. Is Ryan going to take another win? 3 on the bounce. Remember, the first win's from pole. Race 2 win was from the back of the grid, and he seems to be on very good form here. Going through, Jamie Anderson now busy chasing Simon Reed. And on the inside line goes Martin Gibson. He's got his door open, Gibson's door open. Talk about leaving the door open. He didn't metaphorically, but he did actually on the inside. And going through on the inside is Stuart Oliver. Martin Gibson, for me, this is his best meeting so far, really getting stuck in. And as he's learned the truck, he's been able to fight with the other drivers, and the statistics are there now. That 4th position means that he's arrived as a driver who can mix it and dice with the others here in the championship, as we watch Jamie Anderson, the Colville driver, the Anderson Race Sport MAN TGX, all over the back of Simon Reed in the Iveco Stralis. Superb view of this battle. So coming now down into Noble, the left-hander. Watch the 89 truck just begin to drift away, and he's going to have to be mindful. Got a bit of damage, I think, on the front of Jamie Anderson's truck, where things have got a bit physical. They have to get as close as possible to try and go through, but a very impressive convoy here at Thruxton. Battle for the lead on now, and it's the 79 machine of Luke Taylor there, but for how long? Ryan Smith pulls out of the slipstream. Man to man here. Smith's got plenty of space. There's plenty of that at Thruxton. David Jenkins about to try and pass Richard Collett. Smith looks to the outside line. He knows he's got time here to be able to win the race. He knows he's got the pace as well. He's had both fastest laps so far in Division 1. And Luke Taylor, nice to see him on podium pace this weekend, and indeed at the Nürburgring last weekend. A very quick turnaround for the drivers. Superb battle going on for 3rd place. Anderson now inside Simon Reed. And then Stuart Oliver in the mix as well. Anderson clear. Reed in 89. Stuart Oliver in the bonneted Kelsa Volvo goes through, makes the position. So Oliver now up into 4th behind Jamie Anderson, ahead of Simon Reed. And watch for David Jenkins coming up as well. The Digraph Black Machine wants to get stuck in as well. And that's going to leave Ricky Collett and Martin Gibson fighting out for 7th and 8th place. Ryan Smith, meanwhile, the leader. Luke Taylor relegated to 2nd, but still on for a decent podium here. Smith's best lap, a 1:38.8. That was on lap 3. Luke Taylor did a 1:30.39.9. So Smith looking for a 3rd win in succession, and now his thoughts will start to turn. Once we get into the closing stages of this, his thoughts will turn to getting a shutout of all 4 wins. Championship-wise, Smith 19 points clear of that man, David Jenkins, in the black Digraph truck. So even if Smith retired from this one, he would retain the lead. 19 points. A big gap back from Jenkins to Anderson of 22 points. And then Stuart Oliver actually in 5th now. I was going to say 4th place, but now it's Simon Reed 4th in the championship. 161. Stuart Oliver 151. A little bit of a gap back then to Luke Taylor, who is in 6th. And then Ricky Collett, Martin Gibson now ahead of Matt Summerfield, who's absent this weekend and working on other projects, we hear. Send him our regards, of course. Stuart Oliver continues on his way, and a wide line there from Simon Reed. Dave Jenkins never needs a 2nd nod to go on the inside line, but he has to work hard on the outside line there at Cobb Corner, and off into the tyres. That's Martin Gibson. Martin Gibson is off, and sadly in the barrier as Ryan Smith continues with the race lead. Fastest lap as well. Luke Taylor in 2nd place. Looks like it's going to be his best result of the meeting. And I think for Luke Taylor, he's going to be matching the 2nd place he took at the Nürburgring. Had a 3rd and a 2nd there. I hesitated to say best result of the season so far, but he will match it in 2nd place, although Jamie Anderson is flying and trying to close him down with Stuart Oliver in 4th. This has been another good race from the Division 1s. The reverse grid format working well. You can see from this shot the climb up Woodham Hill, which Ryan Smith out of shot negotiates, as we watch Jamie Anderson in 3rd place being hunted down by Stuart Oliver. A flash of white, red and green tells us that Ryan Smith is still leading. the red of Luke Taylor in second. And then in third place, Jamie Anderson is going to collect another podium, a 5th podium of the year. 2 at Pembrey, 2 at Nürburgring, another one for him today. Ryan Smith takes the winner. Congratulations to him. From Taylor, Anderson, Oliver, Jenkins, Simon Reed 6th, Ricky Collett 7th, non-finished, sadly, for Martin Gibson.
Ryan, 3 out of 3. That's not a bad weekend on a difficult track and in very difficult conditions.
Yeah, I think I got a slight problem with the truck, and I was just being cautious with Luke Taylor because the feeling wasn't there. I had massive vibration through steering, and I thought this tyre's de-lambing. But luckily the tyre held together and we was be able to pass Luke. But I had a laugh on lap 3 when we was in a big fight with Ricky Collett, and fair play to him. Fastest part on the circuit church. I get up inside of him. I thought, has he seen me? Has he seen me? So I looked over and he starts waving. I was like, I had to look again. I thought, some guy, but no. Ricky fought really well for his position, and credit to him.
Luke Taylor, that's a decent result. Well done.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I had a good race. Started boiling off towards the end a little bit though. Brakes and tyres were not where they were meant to be.
Adding to the podium that you had at the Nürburgring, that equals a little bit of momentum for you, surely?
Yeah, I'll try to aim for 2 podiums a meeting, but one will do, won't it?
And what have we got in the tank for race 4? One more race to go.
Oh, a fresh set of tyres and let's go for it.
Jamie, congratulations, a podium, and you look fairly relaxed and not too hot.
Yeah, no, pretty good. We focused on it this morning. We had a blowout in second position. But again, it's all a learning curve for us, tyre pressures, everything that's happening with the heat today, the track. I've never ever touched this track before, and to finish on a podium, is brilliant. It just keeps adding up the points.
Martin, sorry to see you go off. What happened?
Well, I felt the steering pump starting to fail on the chicane and gave it a bit of a wiggle on the straight, and it seemed to come back in, but when I went to turn for that corner, it was just completely locked.
Much damage? Is he going to be out for the final race?
Not so much damage. They're straightening it up, but then they've got to get onto the power steering problem, so we'll see. Fingers crossed.
Final race of the weekend sees classes 1 and 2, Division 1 and 2 together on track. Division 1's at the head of the field, Ricky Collett and Simon Reed on the front row, David Jenkins and Stuart Oliver on row 2. Division 2 headed by Jim Bennett and Steve Powell from James Aikenhead and Trevor Martin, Brad Smith and John Powell on row 3. So a full field of trucks, maximum spectacle for the race fans here. Massive field, with Richard Collett and Simon Reed heading them into Allard for the first time. Jamie Anderson immediately behind. Oh, he got close. I think he just nabbed the back end of him as the Division 2 start. Historically, they used to start in front of the Div 1s, which was great spectacle, but in many ways it makes a lot of sense as Brad Smith rounds Jim Bennett, who's had a few problems this weekend, the beast of Bungay. But wonderful to see Jim back in the championship again. Richard Collett leading, Jamie Anderson on the inside line, which is the outside for Cobb Corner, and then the inside for Seagrave. He's consolidated second place, and Ryan Smith from 7th on the grid, already up into 4th. And then Martin Gibson in the 11 has come through very well indeed. So there must have been some issues for some of the other drivers, because Martin Gibson did take the start after those problems in race number 3, non-finish for him there. But Collett holds on through Village, heading down towards Church. See the back end wanting to break away. Anderson on the fastest part of the track, absolutely flat out. Coming down into Church Corner. We go back with the Division 2. Steve Powell is leading. The Div 2's relatively sorted out. Simon Cole down towards the back. There is Jim Bennett, who started on front rank, but has dropped away a little bit. Championship positions in Division 2 haven't changed over the course of the meeting, so they've been fairly consistent. As Ryan Smith looks on the outside line here of Jamie Anderson, is he going to go through? Well, he did the right thing, he straight lined the chicane, but he's come off the gas. Fair play. That was good thinking, intelligent thinking from Ryan Smith. Realised that by straight lining it, you could be perceived to have had an advantage, and he's actually lost more of the advantage than he gained, because I think he's momentarily back behind Simon Reed as well. Richard Collett still out front. Brad Smith in the 16 still there. There is John Powell up ahead of Adam Bint. And then Craig Reed, who is on 180 points, so Craig Reed closing down a tad on this meeting on John Powell, but John Powell has scored consistently well throughout the meeting as well. Now here's the situation I was talking about last time, with Ryan Smith back in fourth behind Simon Reed, and Jamie Anderson having a good nibble away here at Richard Collett. And remember, the next corner is the left-hander, so it's the outside line. Anderson reacts to that, realises it. Richard Collett holds on to the race lead. Watch for Ryan Smith nibbling over Simon Reed in 89. And again, Martin Gibson getting into the mix in the 11 truck with Stuart Oliver behind, and then David Jenkins. The 11 truck has really arrived on the scene this weekend. Martin Gibson doing a fine job of racing hard, as Jamie Anderson still looking for the lead. They come out of Church corner. Simon Reed's having a look at Anderson, and Ryan Smith may be playing a little bit of a waiting game. Division 2, still Steve Powell out front. John Powell going through, Craig Reed, then Luke Garrett from Adam Bint. Simon Cole is there as well. Look at this now, and again straight lining the chicane is Ryan Smith, who again realises, I think he's got a problem, backs off. Jamie Anderson through on the inside line. So who does Ryan Smith give the advantage back to? And the answer is it's Jamie Anderson. If he did indeed give the advantage, I'm sure he is, but he'll know he'll pick them off one by one, and he's looking at the inside line around Allard. The outside line goes to Simon Reed. Richard Collett losing a little bit of ground on these boys at the moment. We'll see whether Collett can hang on to it. Now up into 5th position has gone truck number 7, Stuart Oliver. Simon Reed keen to hold on to the podium position. Craig Reed about to pass John Powell in the number 6. Trevor Martin heading for another good finish as well, with fellow returnee Jim Bennett immediately in behind in Division 2. Still, incidentally, Steve Powell. If he gets this, it will be opening race win of the weekend, and also last race win of the weekend, which will be, I think, a happy thing for him to take back to Kent with him, as Craig Reed looks on the inside line there, which again, outside line as they go through into Noble. There is Steve Powell out front at the moment. Brad Smith next up, then John Bowler, Craig Reed, followed by John Powell, and Luke Garrett has almost had his wings clipped a little bit in this one. It is, I guess, a little bit more difficult to see the reverse grids panning out in Division 2. It's very evenly matched Division 2 this year. The first 2 races, the race format worked superbly because we had 6 different drivers on the podium, as Richard Collett goes wide and allows through on the inside line. Stuart Oliver makes up a position. Jamie Anderson still the leader, but Ryan Smith is flying down the inside. Flying Ryan's going to have a look as they go through. Allard coming up in towards the complex. Smith's got track position here and he's going to take the inside line. Smith, the race leader. This could make it 4 out of 4 for him. Jamie Anderson, remember, still in his first full season of racing, is in 2nd place, with Simon Reed 3rd, Stuart Oliver in 4th. Division 2 battle, Luke Garrett about to make up another position. And this is all straight lines to chicane. Didn't gain a place there, but kept his speed. And if he does that continually, of course, without backing off, the officials will look at it. But we're not getting anything on the timing screens to that effect, so no problems at the moment. Brad Smith's got a clear view, wonderful blue skies. The crowds, this is a mega long circuit. There's so much spectator viewing, and the spectators have taken the opportunity to find their own spaces and spread out in the sunshine here today and enjoy their refreshments, which are available in abundance as well. What more could you ask for? Sunshine, truck racing, absolutely superb. Wonderful day out here at Thruxton. Craig Reed running well. Here's the race leader, and it is for Division 2, Steve Powell. And Steve, 5th in the championship. He's only 13 points behind Craig Reed now. But all the time Reed keeps getting those race finishes, he'll hang on to it. There is Craig's brother Simon being put under big pressure by Stuart Oliver now in the Kelso GT7. Round Allard they go. Last lap, Jamie Anderson 2nd, goes through shot. Simon Reed 3rd from Stuart Oliver. Closest battle in Division 1, I think that is at the moment. Richard Collett now down behind Luke Taylor. Up ahead of Luke Taylor is David Jenkins, still scoring good points. And remember, Jenkins second in the championship, 2-1-2 points against Ryan Smith's 2-3-5. And Oliver trying to work out where he can get past the third place man. Is he going to be able to do it at the complex? There's not that many passes here apart from the opening laps. And Simon Reed looks like he's on for a podium. Another Reed livery there. Craig Reed with Luke Garrett right behind him. This is for third place in Division 2. So Garrett trying to get up onto the podium in this last race of the weekend. He will leave the both of the championship leaders currently coming into race 4 will leave the circuit with their championship leads intact. But look at Luke Garrett, goes wide round the outside, braves it out. The reward for that effort is the inside line into Campbell and takes third position in class away from Craig Reed, who will fight back in the Guest truck 68. Guest as in the sponsor, not as in terms of temporary driver, of course. Back with the race leader though, Jim Bennett immediately in front of him, and Ryan Smith is going to take it. Again, Stuart Oliver trying to get up on terms with Simon Reed. It's been a very clean race between those two, but Reed will hold on to it. 4 out of 4 for Ryan Smith. Incredible meeting here at Thruxton for him. Jamie Anderson second, Simon Reed in third, and the Division 2 win will go to Steve Powell. 2 wins for him. A little bit of showboating to entertain the fans who are packed into the grandstand here. He takes the class win from Brad Smith and Luke Garrett. Confirmation of the result: Ryan Smith from Jamie Anderson and Simon Reed in Division 1. Division 2 won by Steve Powell, 9th overall, then Brad Smith and Luke Garrett. Fastest laps Ryan Smith and Luke Garrett.
Ricky Collett really defended well. It was a really tactical race, and teams made a great effort. The Thomases are here to support us this weekend. Really good. I'm really happy.
You've got a good new rival there in Jamie Anderson, haven't you?
Nah, he's got a long way. He's got a long way to go before he catches me. The problem I've just said to Jamie is every little bit you get better, so do I. So we're both learning together.
Jamie, P2, good lead for a long time there as well.
Yeah, it was an eventful race. You got to take your hat off to Ryan. The pace that he's got is phenomenal, and I think he inspires everybody, and we've all got to keep up. But no, as a general, it's a good race for us, eventful.
Steve Powell, bookended wins this weekend, not a bad way to start and finish the racing here at Thruxton.
Really pleased. It's been a good weekend. Won the first, fifth, then we lost a bit of power in the third race, but a bit of a driver here with a gear stick. But the team have worked really hard over the last few months, like I said before. So had a blinding start and just cracked on and got away with it. So really pleased for the staff and my wife, because she worked very hard just at our pub, and with the football you can imagine it's a bit. You're going to come and say hello, babe. Come on.
The viewers haven't seen you for a while.
So I was here playing yesterday and she was here working. Come here. So so it's good. It's good to have her here today.
Brad, congratulations, another podium. You're racking them up now in fine style and a good strong second place in the point standings.
Yeah, like I say, we've done lots to the truck. It's really going well this weekend. It suits the truck. Is really good on this track. It suits the truck, really well.
You're a relative newcomer to truck racing compared to a lot of the others, but second place is strong, but you're going to be chasing Luke.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be catching Luke, but I'll give it my best shot.
Luke, not a bad weekend, championship lead intact and some super racing from Division 2 and yourself.
Yeah, I'm just got to keep finishing now. I've had some really good racing this weekend, especially with obviously Craig in his first year. It's been a pleasure racing with him. So as long as we can keep sort of getting some points, we should keep our championship lead intact.
Championship table looks like this: Ryan Smith 27 points clear of David Jenkins, with Jamie Anderson third, Simon Reed fourth, and Stuart Oliver in fifth from Luke Taylor, then Richard Collett, Martin Gibson in eighth. Division 2 headed by the man we just heard from, Luke Garrett. Brad Smith second from John Powell and John Bowler, Steve Powell in fifth, and Simon Cole in sixth.
Racing complete here at Thruxton, and for the championship leaders coming into the event, Ryan Smith in Division 1, Luke Garrett in Division 2. They've maintained great form throughout the weekend and they take the championship lead onto our next event. We hope you can join us. It's for the massive convoy in the park, and that's at Donington. We'll see you then.